house in there. The old Maros that burnt, they took that out there. There is somebody that had a truck and a trailer that used to pick up junk in town, that drove it there and parked it. So, I can't remember what else I kind of put that out.
When was the hill built to cover all that stuff?
Pardon me?
When was the hill built to cover all that?
That's the dirt out of part of the new reservoir. So I suppose at the time they had a pile of dirt and said, hey, and you know, people don't bury so much of their junk anymore, and Lord knows they don't want to pay to take it to the dump, because that was just coming back in. So
that stuff's in there?
that's why, you know, if it's just a hill of dirt, you know,
disperse it anywhere.
you can load that up and disperse it, yeah. This here, no.
What if there's contaminants? I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
You already, the village already owns it, right? So it's already your problem.
If you have contaminants, it's just bad. Like if there's like an old kerosene or diesel tank in that thing, it's fine if it's in there when you disturb it. The EPA finds out. It's like,
This is coming out of Dave Yost, the Ohio Attorney General. And I went through. Clean up existing solid waste dump sites or construction and demolition debris dump sites. Well, I mean, obviously, they must be thinking that they have the backing for it.
oh, what?
Have you seen the grant? Like, I mean, does it say, like, if they don't do their own soil tests?
No.
I mean, you're not, it's not really the soil, because you're gonna run into a truck.
No.
And when was this covered up? In the sixties or?
No, about 79, 80.
$88 on that.
Yeah.
You have hills in your backyard?
The only problem with that is you don't know what you don't know. And if you encounter something that's unforeseen, that risk is all ours. And whether the grant would cover any expenditures you can't anticipate, it would be
I have a phone number. I can email or call them and ask them a question.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I mean, I get more excited when you're buying something that you already don't own. It's already somebody else's responsibility, but I guess the question would be that if we have no idea what sort of construction debris is the word I would use, is there, what checks do they do before they haul it away?
I'll give you just like one thing.
That's fine.
Especially from that time period, you said the 70s.
It was 79, 80.
There could be a lot of asbestos in that junk and rubble, because that was a time period where it was still prevalently used.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 1977 when it was really don't use it anymore. It was like an act.
Right.
You can't use it in America anymore. If you encounter it, you have the obligation to report it, abate it.
And what could what could happen afterwards?
With asbestos?
Yeah, I just like if you report it and.
You have to just pay money to get it hauled away. You have a contaminated soil, dirty, hot dirt, you have to pay it and have it hauled away, and you have to do the whole process, and you have to get manifest tickets. And it's just, you can't just take certain contaminated things to any dump site. So you have to take it to a site that will accept whatever contaminated material is. And this is all just if it's
and then there's hauling fees for contaminated waste, and there's.
So if the grant's
it's
only
huge.
$10,000 grant, it's not.
That's what I'm saying about you don't know what you don't know. They'll tell you whatever, but until you hit your shovel hits something that's a problem, then it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I might do an email and get it in writing. It says, if the dump site is a residential area or presents a threat to the environment, that was one of the key things.
For what? Did they want to get involved?
The decisions are based on
Oh,
those,
okay.
That's another
I don't
possible
believe
EPA get involved if there is something involved. If they did that, if there was a motion or something documented in the minutes to whatever it actually doing.
Maybe
just
Then you can see,
you know.
I don't know if they do that.
I don't know if they would do that anymore.
They're going away.
They would- they wouldn't-
There's some,
Okay.
there are some things to consider.
Let me,
Yeah.
I will try to get it in writing. I'll email them that way. I'd like to have things. And I'll probably be upfront that we don't know for sure what is buried.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an unknown.
We're not
What
using it for residential.
No.
It could end up being far less than we all imagine, if, you know, just some rubble, just, who knows, but it is a good chunk of an area that could be utilized.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I will do that tomorrow.
When's that due, Kathy?
28th. Like I said, I have the actual grant and I have jotted quite a bit of it, outlined it. I just didn't want to put a lot into it. We got the concession stand, we have the fiscal officer. Last year, if you recall, Haley worked on an AARP grant. It was up again this year. A lot of it does focus on the elderly population, and I asked her, or actually it was her idea, what about if we could have some equipment purchased for our new community center, that someone could possibly have classes down there for the community. So she has kind of been working on that. I just wanted to run that by you, make sure. I know Carol Cunningham teaches over at Lipstick, or she used to.
Yeah. We need carry spots or something.
Okay, so if we get that equipment, great. Clean the town, we did receive that grant. Will kick off here Good Friday through the end of our Monday after our garage sale. It's at 2 weeks. So I'm going to start to really tailor that down and get a flyer. I know I mentioned something to Haley about it the other day, and I'm like, oh, we got to get going on that. I may have included in the grant sending out postcards. I can't remember, so I'll have to go back through that. But we're going to try to put something in everyone's bills and the newsletter. The plan is to have 3 dumpsters brought into town. I did include mattresses, so they will pay for mattresses, so we can get rid of some of those that are hanging out. And no batteries or paint, but get a crew that will help go around and actually pick up the stuff, trying to get some of the athletes from the school to help on that. If we get these out and people call in, I told Haley you'll have to start a chart for the village and then make those contacts when they'll be there to pick up.
You might be able to really get, at that time, get some seniors to, because they're gonna, for community service hours for college,
Yep.
that's kinda gonna be at the end of their cutoff time.
Okay. But I want to really promote that. I mean, even if we see specific places, like I can think of one house now that's had a pile of wood there for God knows how long, across from the library, or the post office, the first house, and stuff around there. Look, you know what, we can put right on the garden, hey, we'd be happy to come pick that up. But I do need a catchy title. So, be thinking of something there.
Make McCollum clean again.
Make me come.
I like it.
Well, all I could think of was clean the town, so that's what the grant was started, but make Macomb clean again.
Maca.
Maca? There, yeah. Greg and I did have a video conference with ODOT and Kleinfelder. Originally, we thought that money wasn't all coming, but we ended up getting all of it, 200 for those beacons and all that. So that's on the go here.
all the safety stuff on Park Drive?
Yes, yes. We did have to sign an agreement that Kleinfelder will be the ones who will design it, since they're the ones put it together, so hey, and we got that sent off. But it sounds like that one's gonna get going here pretty quick. I do have a county mayor's 27th. I'm speaking to 3rd graders at school again on the 27th for government. March 3rd, Health District Board. And the final thing that I want to go over I will not be here. I'm hoping for warm, nice weather for finance and planning. So that's part of the reason. Back to the old school days, counting papers. Hey, Madeline, do you want one for your? Here, you can follow on. I wasn't sure whether to bring this up under old business. I had originally thought that I would bring it up at finance, but I guess tonight's the night. Tammy, we're going to talk about you.
If you don't mind, I'm going to step out, if it's okay, unless you want me to
I
stay.
am fine with it. It's, if they have questions, we'll get you. How's
Okay.
that sound?
All right.
And these are just some of my random thoughts. Recommendation to pay Chief Blunt for overtime hours for the year 2024. And then I have discussion for future overtime pay or salary increase, or actually making her hourly versus salary. Chief Blunt's current hourly rate is $29.06, and there's her salary of $60,448. In 2024, she had a total of 226 documented overtime hours. And I did not bring my big file back. Tammy fills out a timesheet every day, and she writes down every day highlights of what happened that day. Her documented reasons, actually, I'm going to let you guys grab that, read over a little bit of that while I go and get my other file. I thought I'd have a little time between the two meetings. Overtime after so many hours. Like she did overtime, no, salary for overtime also.
Yes,
Right, we talked about that.
yes, over 45.
Anything over 40, no, not at this time, Anthony, a while ago. So anything over 45 hours is supposed to be.
I know at the last finance meeting, there was discussion and whether it be a bonus pay. I sent those questions off to Rob. He said you can do bonus, but sometimes that can cause conflict among some of your other employees. He said you can negotiate her pay at any time. So here's what I did. Here's what Tammy turns in every 2 weeks to be paid. And she always makes notations on what her hours and what she did. So I do have all of those. I took all of them the whole year, went through, made the notes on the side, and figured out where she was at. Where was I at?
What was the total?
Okay.
You have the total hours for the year?
What do you mean, like full-time?
Yeah.
Full-time hours is 2,080.
That's-
40 hours a week would be
that's a-
full-time.
Yeah, 40-hour week.
So,
2,080.
as you can see, a lot of the documentation is on Saturdays for, like, the Memorial Day parade. Well, that's an expectation for this village. The Cookie Festival is an expectation. Toys for Tot, that's pretty well known when they come into your village. The police ask for them in
Right.
many times.
Yes.
Trick or treat, Christmas parking, where she goes around and puts all the signs up for all the parking for the parades, hometown Christmas, surveillance. She spent a lot of time trying to catch whoever was destroying our post office in the evening. So her pay at overtime is $43.59, and if you multiply that by her overtime hours, we're looking at $9,851. She uses flex time when she can. Most of you have a job where if you're gone, no one else can come in and just pick it up. When you come back, that's what you have, and that's what she has. She did have a documentation of 137 hours of flex time. Again, she tried to use her vacation. I believe she rolled 1 week over because she couldn't even fit that in. So here's where I kind of came in with some of our reasoning, where when we contracted with the sheriff that first year, their total package was $37.66, and then you add $5 for every hour for their vehicle. This year, it's going to be $47.41. The difference hourly pay is $9.75, but that's a 26% increase to the sheriff's department since we started. In 2024, council voted to reduce those contract hours from 20 to 10. Increasing them to 20, the total package would have been $49,306, $5 for the cruiser. Full-time 40 hours, $109,000. So then, if you go over to the next page, we have saved over $25,000 with those reduced hours. We know that we anticipate to sit down with Sheriff Cortez in April to discuss those hours. My questions for all of you: have you seen the safety issues increased since the reduction in hours? Do you see more of the sheriff on patrol outside of the contracted hours? I don't see them here. Tammy knows how many hours they run through. They're here for their contracted, basically, which they are responsible to do all this. What about our perception? Has anybody said much to you since we cut it back?
I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen them sitting like they were.
They are changing some spots.
Yeah. So.
They are using the doctor's office some now.
Yep.
I don't see them sitting in the back of the park when I go through there.
They're up in the front of the park Sunday when I left here.
The only problem with that, they're not running radar when they're sitting this way. To run radar, you have to be facing your oncoming, or they have to go by you. So, are they really doing their job, or just the presence? I don't know.
What's the reports?
The reports, that's another thing. I don't see any difference. I look back over the ones that I hand out. I don't think we were getting much more for the additional $25,000. But I'm anxious to see what Mike Cortez has to say. Maybe he has different ideas. I don't know. And I know that we've talked about this overtime. We're beating a dead horse. Can we hire someone? I do know that the Army recruits has jumped immensely. If that has increased, and we're no longer defund the police and all of that, perhaps the recruiting will increase. And what will happen for a lot of these bigger cities who can pay big bucks to start with, will be full, and it'll be like it used to be. They had to start in a village like ours as a stepping stone. We can hope for that. I did put on there, Fostoria right now, this is a beginning officer, it's $40. BGSU is $44. Right now, the Hancock County, no experience is $29.53, but after a year, they're bumped to $32. And a deputy with 15 is $35.15. Finley, they start them out at $39, plus, Finley does have a perfect gym. Do you get to use that?
I'm sorry, what?
A gym?
Oh, yeah.
All employees
They
get.
just got, everybody except the civil service person, I think, gets to use that. But, just a heads up. Yeah, they just redid it too with all new, new bathrooms and better equipment, or better setup for the women's restroom.
I did talk to Carrie. They recently hired a new chief, just a couple months maybe. He was a former state highway patrolman, and his salary's at $92. Continental has a part-time chief at $33.50. And Cridersville, I called down there, they actually have a tax just for PD, and their police chief makes $72. Cridersville is very, very similar to our size. Continental is a little smaller, Cary's a little larger. We've tried different ways to help alleviate some of the hours with the Randy Dunn. Unfortunately, our ordinances say that he must be OPATA certified and Randy's not, so therefore we basically said, sorry, Randy. Chief Blunk, she makes $10.93, $11 to $15.17 above the mentioned officers. And that's just officers without any experience. She has 23 years of experience and is the chief. Coming along with the chief, she has additional reports and paperwork. Plus, she has to patrol, she plays detective, administrative assistance, everything. Then I pulled off a line. The average salary as of January 25th in Ohio is between $118 and $127 for a police chief, depending on the source. The salary range can vary widely in factors, location. ZipRecruiter, I don't know much about ZipRecruiter, but that was their average salary of $127. Salary.com, 118 is an average. Glassdoor, 103, and Gov salaries, 150. Obviously, a lot of those are larger cities, but they still, if it's an average, you have to figure out what some of those larger cities are making to make that an average. The next line, her section there is kind of telling. As we've said, we have worked really hard to save a lot of money. Mel put together the entire budget for PD on a spreadsheet for all those years. If you want that exact copy, I have it. I just highlighted. These were their operating costs. 2015, 42, 16, 32. You can read those, but you can also tell when Tammy came on board. I have no idea what the previous group did to spend that kind of money. I'm probably figuring that someone wasn't really, they were just probably signing them and moving them on. I don't know. In 2023, that was the year that we moved over to this building, and we did have to buy some furniture and do some IT for the new office. Right, last year, as you can see, Tammy spent $2,902. She doesn't ask for much. The next paragraph may shock some of you because I'm still in awe. One of the previous mayors and police chief had their own agreement for overtime pay. It was never voted on by any of the council or included in any documentation. It was an oral agreement between the mayor and the told her, Chief, that's not the way I operate. Mel was given a paper and told, you will pay. She goes above and beyond in her position. She spends a lot of hours working on many of the cases. She uses a personal vehicle for surveillance. She has a van. Nobody really thinks much about it. She's not driving the cruiser around. She's never asked for any mileage. She's never requested anything. She takes calls and texts from many when she's not on duty. You can read those testimonials. Most of you have probably already seen them because they were all posted from Facebook, and I just kind of put them together. She's highly involved in many of the cases similar to large cities. You would be amazed at some of the stuff that can and does go on here. I had no idea. First Sight Food being the largest, she does a lot with immigration, a lot with non-English speaking, uses her own phone for translation. She's worked a lot down there with trying to get the plant to run the traffic. She does a lot at the school because Randy is not OPATA certified. She's dealt quite a bit with FBI here, ICE, liquor control. They did a bust down at the gas station a couple months ago. She has a case for human trafficking. I know at least one case, two maybe, for child abuse, domestics, overdose, theft, surveillance of drug houses, vandalism, etc. And I think the closing paragraph or two there, she's vested in Macomb. She cares about the citizens here. She goes above and beyond. She is one of her own. And I look around the room, and Rob, unfortunately, you're the oddball. all of us grew up here. And so did Tammy. She wants what's best for this village. Like I said, I had no idea some of the stuff. I can tell you there was a period when I was sitting in this seat and we had no PD. The town did not like it. I do not want to find us in that position again. And I'm not saying that she's jumping ship. That's not at all. She loves her job here. But as you can see by packages offered other places, it would be enticing.
So, I agree with everything you're saying, so don't take this the wrong way. But I thought we came to an agreement through this council that the hours were based on 45 hours, 9-hour days, 5 days a week. Anything over 45 is overtime.
I don't remember anything about a 45 hours.
I vaguely remember speaking on that, but I don't remember, I remember that. I remember the 45 hours and then not letting it, because didn't we have to pay her out before? Didn't we talked about this last year?
We've talked about it for
We
about
didn't
3
do
years,
anything.
but we've never done anything.
Right.
I also agree with everything
We
you
were
said.
going to watch some of the overtime. I think there was something, but maybe that's my fault.
I mean,
It adds up.
I don't have a problem.
I know.
Don't get me wrong,
I
I don't
know.
have a problem, but I just wanna get it set that we're not going through this all the time.
That's my goal
Every time.
tonight.
Okay?
And I worked salary my entire
And
life.
when it
Right.
comes to her vehicle, she needs to turn hours. We need to come, okay, mileage wise, we need to determine what
It's
what
set
that's
by
gonna.
the state.
Yeah.
Well, how many miles will reimburse for or something like that? If she's having to do it on a regular basis, then we definitely need a mileage report from her.
Right.
Just because it's fair.
I know.
I mean, that's the,
I mean,
I get it.
I have to, for example, I have a company car, okay, and I get paid mileage
Do you?
with the company car, but I have to turn that in.
Yeah.
Or I don't get paid.
So if you take the 40 hours a week for 52 weeks is 2,080 hours. 45 hours a week for 52 weeks is 2,340. So that's a difference of 260 hours.
Yes, correct.
So anything over that, is that what you're looking at? Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
Number
correct.
wise,
So
okay.
that's kinda like,
You're looking at, we pay 45 hours,
straight.
Because
Right, like
she
for-
puts
for-
in,
for hourly
I think
rate.
it's nine hours a day, 5 days a week. Is her actual base schedule.
I don't know why, in my head I had 8, because of the 40, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is gonna be her salary. So
Her what?
it's her salary. It's low. I'm
No,
sorry. Yeah.
I'm
I do
totally,
wanna-
I'm totally on board with that,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
And she is it. She is it.
Right.
I mean, considering
Right.
that we've been underpaying her for how long now, I don't think it's a big ask, just go ahead and pay out that.
Well,
that ask.
I guess my thought would be, I would like to pay her for overtime hours for last year.
Right.
And then, as I put on here, okay, either we change her to hourly, we increase her salary,
Right.
you know, we need to do something or we're gonna be sitting here in the same boat.
Oh, yeah, you'll be
But
right in again.
one thing we brought up at our finance meeting was breaking down the hourly rates and adding in their health coverage. So that is a huge, I mean, because when we did that at the meeting, that makes her at 57,
But I'm not
53.
sure that's not considered discrimination.
No. Is it because of the cost for her insurance? But it's still part of your package. I'm not discrediting giving her, I'm just saying, I want everybody to understand that you see an hourly rate, you
Yeah,
still
she-
have to cover your health insurance,
Yeah,
because we
which,
pay
like,
that.
that should be viewed as like her total compensation
Right.
package.
And that's what we did at the finance meeting with these numbers. So like that breaks it into a higher dollar amount because you are, Rob, is that discrimination as far as figuring, we covered
I
their.
think that it is.
The only,
I was just suggesting when it's time.
the only
Well,
thing that I brought up at the finance meeting when we were kind of looking at all that is we need to make sure that we're looking at apples to apples. So you can't look at someone who has a family healthcare package. You need to look at,
And
you
that's all
have
of them.
this employee and this is what it would be for a single employee. And you compare everyone on the apple to apples. You can't really take into consideration the families. Not everyone has a family. The family coverage is kind of an added bonus.
That's why that stuff I sent out, I put Greg and I on there as if we both took insurance like we would normally have.
Right.
So it kind of,
Rob has something.
Well, mine's pretty minor. I think it's one thing to figure out maybe something to do for the 2024 year in order to compensate her and thank her and ensure that she stays around. But as far as going forward and coming up with a new wage package, I think that ought to be vetted through finance committee.
Okay.
And
I mean, that-
what money, where money, what's in the long run, what are our estimates for this year's income tax?
I'm not gonna be here for the finance.
I would just also caution, like, I know her hourly rate is $29.06, but the true cost to the village is $57.53 an hour.
Right, that's what I was
So
pointing
it's
out.
not
But
like
I
that.
didn't ask these other ones what their true cost is for their chief.
Because they get health insurance.
They get health insurance, but I mean, I can do some of that research for the finance committee, but it's not heard of very often that you get 100% paid health
No.
coverage. You don't come across that type of a package hardly anywhere,
Finley is what, 90/10?
depending on what plan you get, or what you have to,
Option.
yeah, you have to meet the, stipulations to be able to get the better rate.
Ballpark, like on average, how much is it for one employee to have health insurance for a month? Like, is it $3,000 a month?
Is it male, female, health? Right.
our insurance is,
I mean, is it
Never
that big?
cost anything like
I know,
it.
is it like that big of a difference though? Is it huge?
women are usually twice as much.
Like, the employees of female is twice as much as the man would be at the same age. A single employee that we figured at the finance meeting is 1528. So you have one single employee, right?
Yeah.
So $1,528, $1,528.
Is that a month or?
That's a pay?
A month.
here, what do we, I would like to compensate her for the 2024. And I think we accomplished tonight. If that's possible, because of the
It's just a motion to pay for overtime.
You know what, this nine?
Yeah.
Yeah, based off of
We
this
do
rate.
that, but I just restructure it.
And then we'll talk, then maybe at the next meeting or whenever. I know you're not gonna be
I
here.
won't be here, but I think, Sarah,
I'll
can
tell
you
you
get
what.
Finley PD versus the regular? Cause I think I have regular after we looked at it where it talked about,
The PD will be.
this is the summary of employee
Yeah,
benefits.
I have the union, we can get a copy of the union contract, and even like North Baltimore, cause they're smaller than Finley, but they have their own police department, so we can get some other numbers to look at. for
I
that.
think, Jamie, you had numbers before, but
I can dig in my email to find it.
those will
Like
probably
five-
need updated
I got five.
because it's been 2 years.
Sooner than-
I need to find out.
I can get here at five.
If we pay
If
her
we can get here
that.
at five.
Right, can you
She
be here at
earned it
5?
last year.
Yeah,
with
fine,
finance
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
fund.
I hope
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it at 5, okay.
It would, you could
Yeah,
show
on the
probably as a
19th.
bonus this year.
Yeah, just give us more time
That's
to
the
talk.
whole ball action bonus. too.
Or,
Yeah. I'll just have to, I'll contact LGS and find out how to do it. If we go forward.
gonna be enough for you,
For me? Yeah, I got it, I can get it.
Okay.
I have, both these people can email me the contract.
So,
we can also.
did I have a motion to pay her for overtime in 2024?
Yes, I'll make a motion to pay her for overtime for 2024 based off of what you have wrote here, of the
I was,
9,851.34.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
That's a one-time payment?
Yes.
Sure.
Any further discussion?
What fund does that come out of?
General fund.
General.
I was actually looking at, should we round it up to 10 grand instead of, it's only a couple hundred, for $150-ish.
I would go by the amount, the
Exact-
documented.
I have it
amount.
documented.
Yeah, I would do the mathematical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then would you call the roll?
Mr. Brumbaugh? Oops.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
I will ask her then to keep her personal car time, or mileage, not mileage.
Yeah,
Mileage,
mileage.
not time.
Yeah.
And then you guys can figure out on the, right, but you do have some data there to work with. And if any of you want to go through any of her timesheets, or I kept everything that I picked off to talk about tonight, I'd be more than happy.